So our oven has reached our desired temperature of 550 degrees, so the underfloor burner has gone off. Now it's really important to turn these flames down or the oven will keep getting hotter and hotter. So I'm turning down these radiant flames, and I'm turning them down until I can just see the tips of the flame sticking above the floor. All the way down, the flame disappears entirely. Part of the reason you have a wood stone oven is because people are excited by the fire inside of this oven, so you still want them to see it even when the oven's resting. This is a very critical step in successfully operating a fire deck oven. After the initial heat up, you want to give it 20 minutes to a half an hour to rest. This rest period allows the heat to distribute into the floor so the surface where the pizza contact surface is not just screaming hot. So your first pizzas aren't going to burn. Okay, so we've given our oven 20 to 30 minutes to rest so the floor surface isn't so screaming hot anymore. And I find it's helpful before you get started with production to do a couple test pies. Just give yourself confidence that your oven is at the perfect temperature to get started. Before we throw these pies in, however, I want to point out a common problem with pizza making. These two pies have the exact same ingredients, same amounts of ingredients. One's wrong, one's right. You can tell which one's wrong. When a pizza bakes, everything moves to the center of the pizza anyway as the crust rises. So you want to evenly distribute your ingredients as much as you can. If you know you're cutting a pizza into 6 pieces and you have some special ingredients that you only have 6 of on there, make sure one's going to hit every piece of pizza. This pizza on the right was assembled very carelessly. Everything's already in the middle. It's not put on there in with any regard for aesthetics. Here's how we can fix this pizza. If you see somebody go into an oven with a pizza like this, you need to fix it or the customer's not going to be happy. We're just going to make sure everything is moved out toward the edge a little more and distributed evenly. You want the pizza to cook the same on the edge as it does in the middle. And if you have a whole bowl full of ingredients piled up in the middle, you might not even get those up to temperature in the 3 minutes, 4 minutes that it takes this pie to cook. That's much better. Our oven's rested and we're going to bake a couple test pies. I'm going to bring the flame up just a little bit, but I'm testing the floor right next to the flame. So I'm not going to bring it up too high because I don't want to cook the tops too fast. What I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to bring the flame up to a setting of 3 on the throttle control knob. What I'm looking for, and I know this from experience, I want those flame tips to be just licking above that middle bar of the flame guard. And I'm going to put my pies in right next to that flame because that is the part of the oven I am concerned about. I want that floor to be receptive to pies without burning them. With these loading peels, it's hard to reach all the way in where you want the pie. So oftentimes you're just going to put them in the oven and then move them with the longer peel. Again, I'm really just testing with these pies. Pizza dough is a wonderful way to take some heat out of the oven floor. If your oven floor is too hot near the flame, you can sacrifice some old dough, run some empty skins across that to take some heat out. These pizzas are hand stretched out of a 7-ounce dough ball. You've got a 10-inch pie. That is a relatively medium thickness for a crust. If you're using a dough press, you may have a thinner pie. Some people use pre-made, pre-baked crusts for this operation. All of these factors will go into determining what your set temperature is going to be for your ideal cook time. So it's a little hard to see the side of the pizza that's going to be browning the fastest right now because it is facing the flame. I'm going to go ahead and give these a little spin just to check it out. I see we're starting to get some color on that side. Because these are the first pizzas of the day, it's important that we don't move them around to a bunch of different hot spots that haven't seen a pizza skin yet. Those are about halfway through, and they're looking good. We're a little spicy on the bottom still. When these pies come out, I'm going to take some measures to cool that floor down just a little bit more before we get started. So some bubbles are nice on pizza. but sometimes they'll get in there in the wrong spot and displace some ingredients and just be plain too big. So if you want a nice light airy crust, leave some bubbles behind, but the troublesome ones you need to get rid of. The bubble hook is easy to use. You just get it in there, let it fall in the bubble, and it's gone. All right, these test pies are looking good. We've learned what we needed to learn, which is that the oven is balanced very nicely. The bottom cooked beautifully, the top browned in the same amount of time. These pies cooked in about 3.5 minutes. Now, it's very important for me to turn this flame back down, or I risk overheating this oven floor where I'm going to be using it first. That is a best practice that has to be followed if you want to be successful, is when there's nothing in the oven, you need to get those flames down so you're not overheating that surface. If your test pies indicate that the floor is still a little warm by that flame, it's easy enough to take care of that. Like I mentioned before, you can always cook a few skins to take some of the heat out of the floor, or go back in there with that damp cloth and swab the deck. You can do this repeatedly. You can always run another batch of test pies to make sure, but if you really want to concentrate on the area that needs it the most, you're working near the flame. That should do it.